So I want to talk about how sound quality affects message delivery. All right. And this is very important. One of my homeboys used to always ask me, like, man, how do you get your vocals like that? And a lot of people think, oh, it's a type of plugin you use or whatever. But a lot of people don't understand that it's about certain techniques that you use, even with cheap equipment, right? If you're less fortunate and you cannot afford expensive equipment, expensive equipment, you have to follow the rules, right? Um, and even when I had a $200 microphone, right, I always read the manual. I always research things, right? So I knew that first you got to learn what type of microphone you have, okay? And when you learn what type of microphone you have and which type of microphones are the best for a studio recording environment, you can achieve a better result, okay? Now they have these mics that are called dynamic mics or dynamic mics or stage microphones. And typically you're talking to the top of those microphones, okay? These are good for live performances, but they are not the best type of microphone for studio recordings, okay? Can you use them for studio recordings? Yes. There's one mic that's actually a very good dynamic microphone. It's probably one of the only ones that I know of that I would probably use. And maybe this other $600 Neumann microphone, but there's a Shure SMB7, I believe it is a dynamic microphone that I think is somewhere around, I don't know, maybe $300, $400, $500, somewhere in that range, right? And it's like one of the best dynamic microphones, and some people like that microphone. I like condenser microphones better. They give a more, I guess, I don't know if hollow is the word, but it just gives a more open kind of clear sound to me. And normally the frequency range is better on a condenser microphone compared to a dynamic microphone. But anyways, one of the techniques that so first I would pick a studio microphone, a condenser microphone, not a stage microphone, if I'm doing studio recordings, right? So that's the first step. The second step is, like I said, make sure that you are, and when I say studio condenser microphone, cardioid pickup pattern. But step two, when I have that microphone, even if it's a $200 microphone or if it's a $1,500 microphone, right? $4,000 microphone, $8,000 microphone, $10,000, $15,000, whatever microphone, I'm making sure that I am standing directly in a straight line of that capsule, where that capsule is at. Okay? So that's the thing. With a dynamic microphone, I feel like you can be off axis or whatever more, and those mics still kind of, those, I don't really notice much of I mean, it is a difference in sound, but when you listen on a condenser microphone, you notice it more. All right. And one thing that I've always done, man, is I've always stood directly. If you draw a straight line to that capsule, I always know exactly where that capsule is. Even though you can't see it a lot of times, I always stand in a straight line of that capsule. Even if I'm 6 inches off from the microphone, right? I'm still in a straight line, right? Even if when I'm delivering my message, if I tend to move side to side in my delivery, right? I'm still remembering where that capsule is. So even though you might see me bouncing a little, my body might be moving, but my mouth is moving very little. And even though my mouth is moving side to side, right, or my body is moving side to side, I'm still remembering. So I'm still hitting that I'm not really going off axis, okay? And so this is one thing that helps me stand out. And I try to uh encourage and explain this to people, especially when you have cheaper equipment, right? I try to explain this to people. Um Another thing is your microphone um cable or wire. Buying the cheapest wires is gonna get you a basic or mediocre result. Cheap or basic, cheap or mediocre, basic or mediocre wires is gonna get you a basic or mediocre result. Okay. Buy premium wires. Okay. Because if you have a $200 microphone, $100 microphone, whatever, and you buy a basic wire, if that's all you can afford to get started, then do it. But as time progresses, if you can, invest in yourself, right? So buy the premium wires, the elite wires, right? And what that is gonna allow is that's gonna allow you to get the best of that $200 microphone, right? It's already a $100, $200 microphone. Don't degrade it. Don't knock down the quality even more than what it is. Okay, so there's that. But now don't get me wrong. Like I said, I've used basic wires and basic microphones and achieved, because that's all I could afford at the time, and still achieved good results. Okay, if that's all you can afford, use it. But when you use it, understand your microphone, understand your room. There's so many things. There's little things I used to do that would really make my quality, stand out. And these are basic things that people overlook or don't think is important. Every little bit and piece of the puzzle that you either overlook or decide to do is either going to add or subtract from the quality. All right. And so, like I said, when it comes to the wire, when it comes to the volume knob or the gain knob on the equipment, okay, on the physical equipment that the microphone is connected to, listen. The first thing I would do is I would listen to my room. I would plug up my microphone. I would listen to as I'm turning it up, I'm listening to my room, but I'm also listening to the microphone at the same time. And I will find the sweet spot where the mic sounded the best, where the room sounded the worst, where the microphone sounded like, and then when I found like a low and a high range, I would be like, okay, somewhere off in this area, the microphone sounds the best and I have the least amount of room noise. You see what I'm saying? But like I say, another thing I would do is, this might sound crazy to a lot of people, I would turn off my air conditioning. You don't want to hear the air blowing because it's going to create even more noise in the background of your recording. I would turn off my air conditioner or heater, whatever is going, the ventilation system, I would cut it off. The refrigerator, I would cut it off. Just while I'm recording. So if I'm doing little test runs, I would keep it on. But while I'm recording, doing that official recording, I would cut it off. Would it get hot in the house? Yes. Would it get cold in the house? Yes. Your refrigerator's off for a while? Yes. But that refrigerator's gonna stay cold for the little while that you're recording. You just gotta remember to cut it back on. Like I said, some people think that these little tactics or these little things that I do are stupid. But I've always had people come to me and say, "Hey man, how do you get your vocals like that?" And I know I need more improvement on my vocals. So for somebody to see even the little stuff that I'm doing is mind-blowing, right? And so now I'm on a whole nother level with it. But like my homeboy that I record with, he's a producer too. But he always tells me like, man, how do you've always had good vocals, right? And that's what it is. And then when I invested in myself and I bought better equipment, it just magnified and got even better because I still held on to those techniques. See what I'm saying? So I don't want to say we're in competition with the industry or in competition with other, musicians or whatever. But in a way, you kind of are. People like the way that the algorithms and stuff like that, the way that they work is, if this song is getting a lot of if a lot of people are coming to play this song for whatever reason, whether it be the quality or whatever it is, that song has a better chance of going viral. You see what I'm saying? So this is why a lot of times the industry, not the only reason, but this is why a lot of times the industry or music that y'all think is degrading or negative can still have a huge impact. For one, is because of the quality. And some of y'all say, oh, well, I seen this rapper doing like this, and I seen that rapper doing like that. And that rapper probably doesn't know these techniques. But you got to understand the difference in an artist versus an engineer. An artist versus an audio engineer. You see what I'm saying? There's a difference. When you're just an artist and you on these drugs and all that, you don't know about that stuff. And you don't care to research that stuff. And even if they do, they probably don't think that it's that important. Because, yeah, you can stand off axis and an engineer is still going to be able to work with it and get it up to par. But if you were standing in a straight line of that capsule for the majority of that recording, keeping your eye on where that capsule is, as you're going back side to side or back, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're going to come up with a better result. The compressor's going to be able to work better. Your EQ is going to sound cleaner. The sonics of the capsule is going to be able to pick up better. People that stand right up on the microphone are messing with the sonic character of the mic. People don't know that, but these are things. I see people that stand right up on the mic. That's not a good thing. You don't want to stand too far back, but you don't want to stand right up on the mic. You have to find the sweet spot. You find the sweet spot with the distance. You find the sweet spot with the gain knob, right? And these are the basics, but so vital and so important for that next step. I'm gonna tell y'all, like, a lot of y'all want clearer recordings. This is how you get clearer recordings. Brighter and clearer are not the same. Just because you turn up the treble and it sounds brighter doesn't make it clearer. The clarity typically comes from the mid-range. That's where the foundation of the vocal is. That's where the balance of the vocal is. See what I'm saying? So by turning up the high frequency, a lot of y'all have to turn up the high frequency. I'm not saying don't, but a lot of y'all have to turn up the high frequency because you're standing too close up on the mic. So when you're standing right up on the mic, what happens is you're actually putting more, what is it called? The proximity effect. You're actually putting more bass into the microphone than it's not going to sound natural. So what you have to do is you have to go into the EQ and you have to fix what you messed up in the recording. But if you record it correctly the first time, when you take it into the DAW, or when you put an EQ on it, or whatever you're doing, your engineer, your sound engineer, or your recording engineer is gonna have it's gonna have it's gonna be less of less issues he's gonna have, right? He's gonna be able to achieve a more premium result easier. This is why the industry is blowing y'all out the park. A lot of people say, oh, Christian hip hop is so corny. It's corny for one, because a lot of us don't know what we're doing. A lot of us don't research. A lot of us are not investing in the quality and stuff like that. And a lot of times, yeah, it is probably corny beats or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Because we don't research which notes. We don't know nothing about notes. Which notes complement other notes. We just putting stuff together. We're not studying and researching this stuff. Okay? So the industry will always be able to blow us out the park because they got better quality. They've studied how to get, which notes go together and all that type of stuff. This is why you see a lot of Christian artists doing what? Using mainstream beats. This is exactly why. Because they don't know how to get that sound that makes people listen. So they have to use something of the world to make people listen. Or even so they can feel the music. A lot of times they don't even feel their own music. So they go use a mainstream beat or a mainstream song to get those correct notes. Those viral notes. That's music theory. And so there's that. But when you are a independent music content creator, right? It is, we are less fortunate. We're not signed to a big label. So we have to do whatever we have to do to try to run neck and neck or surpass those that we're in competition with. And I'm not saying we're in competition with just because people make different type of music. Your song, when you put that song out with other songs, it's almost like, for example, if you was at a flea market or something. And at that flea market, they had a bunch of concession stands, right? And there was a contest that you could win, right? I know a lot of y'all say, oh, well, I'm not in competition. I'm not here to win the contest. All right. Okay. But this is why a lot y'all had that mindset. I'm not saying to be in competition, but this is why a lot of y'all will never make money. A lot of y'all will never be able to sustain a career. A lot of y'all will never be able to, like I said, make money or pay your own bills because you have that mindset. Okay. I would love to make money and be able to make a living off of what I love doing. I would highly prefer that over slaving on a 9-to-5 for somebody that don't even care about me. See what I'm saying? Some of y'all don't. But anyways, I would rather do what I love doing. I would rather own my own businesses. Some of y'all are okay with working for other people. That's cool. I'm not saying that it's a bad thing to work for other people. But if you work at a place where you are unhappy, or if you work at a place where you slaving, giving all your hours and your life away, you're going to look up one day, you're going to be in your 50s, 60s. And you're going to be like, where did time go? You spend most of your time at the job. But you thought that was the plan. See what I'm saying? So this is why all of us God has given all of us a creative side. It is up to us to tap into that. You either use it or lose it. It is up to us to tap into our God-given character, our God-given potential and passion. It's up to us. God is not going to force you to be the of the godliness that he put inside of you. I don't care if it's knitting sweaters. I don't care if it's, you know what I'm saying? Like whatever it is. Whatever it is. I don't care if you like woodworking. I don't care if it's music, filming, content creation. Everybody want to do the same thing because people are not tapping into what God put inside of them. Way back when I was a teenager, and then way back, even in 2008, right, in my 20s, I've always had this passion for music, right? But like I say, when I was a teenager, when I was a kid, I grew up on this stuff. Did I grow up singing? No. But music was always around. Music was how the adults around me, how the older people, how I see everybody express themselves and how they express emotion. And I learned to realize that, hey, this has a big impact on our emotion, whether what we watch on TV or, what we do on the weekends, where we hang out. Like all of these things have an impact. What we eat, and you begin to that begins to stick with you inside. And I've always been infatuated with the quality of vocals. Even as a kid, as a teenager, as a young adult, I could always tell the difference in a quality song versus a song that was not of good quality. Okay. So a lot of y'all don't get that. A lot of y'all don't understand that, but a lot of that comes with the equipment. Okay? A lot of these hit records are done on $4,000 mics, $1,500 mics, $8,000 mics, $15,000 microphones. And I'm not even counting the preamps that the microphone is connected to. That's an even higher cost. Each one of those preamps is about $2,500, $3,500. Okay? So, this is, I'm just trying to help. I'm not, I know a lot of us are not going to be able to spend that kind of money. But that's why I'm trying to teach you all and explain to you all how to achieve a similar or a good result from whether you got cheap equipment, mediocre equipment, or expensive equipment, premium equipment. You can have premium equipment. If you don't know what you're doing, you can sound like somebody on a $200 mic. I promise you can. I promise you can. So, it's all about researching and knowing. And like I say, it really blows my mind when people ask me the questions of how to do this and how to achieve this result and how to do that. And then when I tell it to them, they don't think that is the answer. So I just kind of, I get to a point where I almost don't even want to explain to people that are like that. Because it's like, you just asked me for the answer to the test. I just gave you the answer. And you don't think that I know what I'm talking about. So if you know what you're talking about and I don't, then why are you coming to me for advice? Why are you coming to me for information? You feel me? So, like I say, It is equipment. But like I said, even before I had, professional quality equipment, or the advanced things, you got to understand, you really have to ask yourself, when people make a song, right? It's like signed to a record label, these big artists, when they make a song, and if you really listen to the lyrics, a lot of these artists are telling the listener to do things that they know are not right. But the listener is so infatuated and hypnotized by what? Ask yourself that. Why are people addicted to listening to this stuff? It's because y'all don't study and research what the record labels are doing, what the hit songs are doing, what they consist of. I've been studying this stuff for a long time. And you really have to ask yourself, why are they using a $15,000 microphone? Why are they using a $4,000 microphone? Why are they using a $8,000 microphone? Why are they using a $1,500 microphone? Then you have people saying, oh, no, man, you can achieve that same result with a $100 microphone. And then you wonder why they never go viral. Stop listening to rookies. Especially I'm not going to say stop listening to rookies. Stop listening to rookies that think that they are professionals or that they know it all. Okay? Stop listening to those. I just had somebody comment on one of my comments on YouTube, and whoever the person was saying that being off access of the mic capsule is better than using a pop filter. I disagree. I do understand where you're coming from, but I disagree. I feel like that's a rookie move. That is for people who either have problematic equipment, right? You have a microphone that has some type of issue, equalizing issue, or the capsule was funny or whatever it was. The wiring, something about that mic capsule, whatever it connected to, something about that's not the best type of microphone or the best microphone to use, right? So there's an issue there, right? But that is why it's important to don't just look at the amount of money that something costs. Research the microphone. And just because a bunch of people say, oh yeah, that's a good microphone, it's good to them. That doesn't mean that it's one of the microphones that a record label would use. It's good to them. They are beginners. They are rookies. To them, it sounds like the best microphone. Because it probably sounds better than the previous microphone they had. So they're going to give it a high rating and say, oh, this is the best microphone I ever had in my life. Yeah, best microphone you ever had. It doesn't mean it's the best microphone. It's like when you go out to eat food. Some people think that McDonald's is the best food out there. Some people think that Taco Bell is the best food out there. That's an opinion. And I wouldn't say that McDonald's or Taco Bell was the best food out there. Now, when it comes to McDonald's fries, I'm not going to argue with that. I think McDonald's got some darn good fries. But when it comes to anything else, well, not anything else, but you see what I'm saying? So, if you're talking about golden fries, yeah, McDonald's might have some of the best fries out there. I ain't gonna argue with that. But McDonald's as a whole, it's probably not the best food you can get in the world. Okay. But some people think that it is. So when it comes to comparing that to studio equipment, film equipment, whatever, when it comes to comparing that to studio equipment, you got to understand you are in competition. Think of your music as a restaurant, right? Or a food truck. And you got all these food trucks around you, all right? And think of the algorithm as a competition. And in order to make your song go viral, you have to have the most customers come stream your song or whatever. If you are using basic equipment, and if you already got one strike against yourself. If you are using techniques that are not helping you get the best out of that basic equipment or even the most expensive equipment, you are doing yourself a disadvantage. This is why a lot of people don't go viral. Research your microphone before you buy it. And when I say research, I'm not saying go ask a bunch of rookies, is this a good microphone? A lot of times the reviews are by a bunch of rookies. So they're gonna be like, oh wow, I love this microphone. This is the best microphone I've ever had. It's the best microphone that you've ever had. Tell me how many record labels that make hit songs are making hit songs on that microphone that you just bought. Or that piece of equipment that you see what I'm saying? But some of y'all think you can go buy a cheap microphone and then you can put a certain plugins on it and it's gonna sound just like a $4,000 or $15,000 microphone. And then y'all wonder why y'all song does not go viral. Why is it not the #1 song in the world? I'm not saying if you buy expensive equipment that's gonna guarantee that your song is #1 in the entire world. But it will definitely increase your chances. That's why I said the other part of that is marketing and research. Knowing how to make your music get out there. Now, here's the thing. Here's the thing. If you had a song and you recorded that song twice, once on a $100 microphone, the same exact song, once on a $100 microphone, and then again on a $1,500 microphone or $4,000 microphone or $15,000 microphone, a mic of your, like a hit record, like if you went to a big studio. Okay? People that are saying, me using this $200 microphone in my bedroom studio with my plugins, me engineering it myself, can compete with that big record label over there that used a $4,000 microphone or $8,000 microphone, $15,000 microphone on my song and engineered it and EQ'd it and professionally mixed and mastered it and recorded it for me. I guarantee you, the expensive song on the expensive mic with the expensive producers and engineers is going to outdo the little $200 setup that you got. I guarantee you. Same exact song. This is common sense. But the most of us don't get that. The most of us don't get that. And I'm not here to argue with people that don't believe that what I'm saying is accurate. But for those that want to take their creation to a professional level, you want to be that next viral thing without a record label. You want to be able to achieve record label results, but keep 99, 95% of the revenue, 90% of the revenue, and just pay somebody 10% or 5% or 8% or whatever it is to do this task and that task. I'm trying to tell y'all what to do. Most people do not want to do the work. Even with AI, you have people that are just going to be lazy. You got AI. AI is almost making songs for you, telling you what to do, telling you what equipment to buy. And technology has gotten better. So the $100, $200 microphone, $500, $300, $400 microphone that you buy today, $800 microphone you buy today, is a way higher quality than what it was back in the 60s and 70s and 80s. So we today have a crazy advantage. We should be able to produce and push out results. Like if your music is not sounding as good as the 80s and 90s, you need to go back to the drawing board. But hold on. There are a lot of microphones from the 80s and 90s that were very good and still used today. Once these top record labels got to that level of quality, that's why a lot of those songs are still played today. And this is why sound quality affects the message. Listen to a rapper can tell youngsters to pop pills, can tell women to become, to do all kind of things with their body that they know they shouldn't be doing. It's hypnotizing and it sounds phenomenal. The message does not sound phenomenal, but the quality sounds phenomenal and soothing, and it sounds so right. That's why when you talk about what you talk about, ain't nobody listening. Because it don't sound so right. It sounds very wrong. It sounds mediocre. We would rather hear that so right, even though it's so wrong. It's probably, if somebody is still here watching, it probably a bunch of people that still, I done talked for 40 minutes. And I done said it back and forth, up and down, left and right, as many different ways as I can and trying to keep it short and simple. But I know people are not going to get it, so I keep talking, trying to get through. When you eat food, well, not everybody, but most people, when they eat food, when a woman goes on a date with somebody, right, and the man is supposed to pay, if that man say, well, I'm gonna take you to McDonald's. I mean, if they young, that might make sense. But I'm talking about a older, mature woman. And he say, yeah, we gonna go out on a date. We're gonna go to McDonald's. Do you know how many women in their 30s, 40s, 50s would have a serious problem with that? You know why? Because they know the difference in quality. And they're not paying for it. But they know the difference in quality. A lot of people want to be signed to a record label. But if you go and buy what the record label has and research everything that the record label does and what they have and how they move and how they operate, you don't need a record label. If you're willing to do the work that the record label does on your own, you don't need a record label. A lot of Houston, Texas rappers are independent because they learn how to maneuver and be strategic and blow up without a record label and make more money than most artists that are signed to record labels. Look, man, I'm not here to go back and forth with nobody, right? But what I'm not gonna do is do the work for you, right? I just can't help everybody like that. We all have the same, most of us. God has given us all the basic necessities. And when I say I'm talking about a brain, I'm talking about hands, fingers, feet. God has given us all that. Most of us just don't have the resources. Most of us just don't know how to get started. Most of us, there's a lot of us out there like that. Those are the people I want to talk to. Those are the people I want to help. But you got to be willing to listen. Those that think they know it all, that don't want nobody telling them nothing, hey, I'm not here for you. I don't want to go back and forth with you. I don't want to help somebody that already knows it all. I don't want to help somebody that doesn't need help. What's the point of that? I don't want to help somebody that wants to go back and forth. I don't have time for that. There was once a point in time when I was looking for answers. And I was like, man, I wish somebody could just help me. Or I just, I wish I just had the answers. Those are the people I'm looking for. Me when I was 10, 15, 20 years ago. The people that are out there trying to do it on their own, but they just need a little bit of help. Those are the people I'm looking for. I don't know if there's 10% of the people out there. I don't know if it's 30% of the people out there. Whatever it is. But those are the people I'm looking for. If you one of them type of people that want to argue and go back and forth, if you already know it all, then what are you here for? What are you here for? To prove me wrong? You don't have to prove me wrong. You're right. Over there. Over there. Do what you do. But for those who want help, for those who wants the help from someone who has made the mistakes for 10, 20 years, who has figured it out without a label, right? And I don't know everything, but I guarantee you I know probably 50 to 75% more, 85% more than the average person that's trying to figure this out. So, you know, some people don't believe it, but bad sound, bad quality, can definitely destroy or kill a good message. A lot of times people don't want to listen to the church sermon because the church does not know how to set up their equipment. They want to be cheap and they don't want to buy a quality microphone. When you're delivering God's message, whether it be Christian hip hop or the sermon, that is the most important message in the world. That sermon. Why wouldn't you give it to the people on the highest quality? Then you wonder why people ain't listening. See what I'm saying? But they listen to that rump shaking music. They being hypnotized by that rump shaking music and you know, things that we shouldn't be doing in the world. The young generation is hypnotized by this. Teens and 20s. Really younger than that. They being hypnotized by this music. The record labels know what age is the easiest age to brainwash. It's the adolescence age. Think about it. When these young kids are living with their parents, right? There's a lot of strict rules that they have to abide by. As a teen, you like, oh, I can't wait till I get out of my mess. Oh, I hate my mama did this. Oh, I hate when my daddy do this. You doing things behind the scene you ain't got no business doing. And when you turn 18, it's over. Young, wild, and reckless. Young, wild, free, whatever you want to call it. And I'm not saying it in a negative way. I'm just saying that that's what it is. Wiz Khalifa said, we're young, wild, and free. That's what it is. That is when we're up under these rules. Sometimes your parents' rules is wrong. But they feel it's right. And when you get out, turn 18, you like, man, that's why from 18 to 25, people that's doing more partying and turning up, that is a good market to sell to. They want to have all the sex they can have because they couldn't do it. You feel me? That's why sex sells. Sex, drugs, all these things that go against what the parents taught. And when the child was under 18, when in their teens from 13 to 18, 19, right? And really younger than that, probably 11, 9, 10, 11, 7, 8. The record labels and the TV stations, the media companies, are doing everything they can to get into the brains of these young people. And it is working. So you got to have the same mindset of them. When you make a song, when I make a song, you're not just coming at somebody saying, y'all shouldn't be doing this. Y'all shouldn't be doing it. Hey, some songs are going to need to be like that, yeah. But most of the songs will have to make them feel like they are free. You can be free in Christ. You understand what I'm? So if I were to make a Christian song, I can make a Christian song and make Christianity or the Bible sound very cool. Make it sound like, hey man, it's freedom in Christ. I'm out here doing what I'm doing, but I still love God. Not promoting sin. You see what I'm saying? But making it sound, because think about it, the world makes sex sound good. And there's so many detrimental or negative results to that. Stuff they ain't telling you. STDs and pregnancies and heartbreaks and, relationships that go, like so many things. Same thing with drugs. There's so many negatives that come with that. Being addicted. So many negatives that come with that. But they not going to sell you that. So it's kind of the same thing with a car salesman or the word of God or whatever. Meet people where they are. You got to bring them in on the baby food first. You got to bring them in on the bottle. You got to give it to them in doses. And then when they get hooked, then that's when you start hitting them with the solid food. It's the same thing in the world. They hook them and they be like, ooh, this is good. That breast milk is good. This is good. And they get hooked. And then when they get hooked, then that's when they start really giving it to them in bigger doses or giving it to them, hey, when you like that, I got something that's even better than that. You see what I'm saying? So it's kind of the same thing. They're leading them in a wrong direction. But we can lead them, you feel me, in a positive. We can lead them in a positive.